March 7th and Northeast Christian University Khan seminar ekta organize kurishe kude journalist editor aro media educator Vishal Arora journalism the narrative laga power opor kotha kurishe ahibi to laga details sabo
and people of different mentalities, so we have a better access to stories than novelists who are trying to imagine stories. So if we have access to real stories, why can't we tell those stories in the same manner that a novelist would do, which would mean using certain literary techniques that are used in literature. So a lot of debate started in the academia, especially they were saying that if you as a journalist begin to decide who is the hero of a story and who is the villain of a story, will you not be opinionated? Will you not be biased? So there was a time, maybe for about 10 years, there was this debate that happened as to can narrative journalism be objective as it is supposed to be? Because in journalism, they say, in traditional journalism, that you should be absent in your story that you write. You should not be reflected. You have a particular faith, you have a particular region, and you have a particular political ideology. So you should not be influenced by all those, and you should just objectively report on what you see. That was the context of the debate. But then it so happened that the debate settled in favor of narrative journalism. Because the reason was, nobody wants journalists to be 100% objective. In journalism schools, they use a typical example. They say you are in a room as a reporter and you speak to two people. One person says, it's raining heavily outside. And the other person says, no, it's completely dry. It's not raining outside. Should you end your story there? It's like, that's what we call he said, she said kind of journalism, where I say that one person thinks this, the other person thinks that. What will my readers tell me? Why didn't you go out to find out whether it was actually raining? So our readers expect that we do some investigation, we do some inquiry, research, and try to find out who could be lying here, who may have the truth, right? So if that is my responsibility, which means that I will begin my journalistic research with objectivity, but I will not be objective throughout. After I find out where the truth lies, I will begin to be biased towards the person that I think has the truth. That's what is expected by our audiences. So the debate settled. Now today, when you talk about narrative journalism, many people remind you of fake news, isn't it? They say there is so much of propaganda in India and the rest of the world. So what if you begin to do narrative journalism at the time of divisions and propaganda? Don't you think it will be very dangerous? Certainly it will be dangerous. But if you look at the spread of fake news, what kind of journalism is used? We know some news channels, if I could tell you, in my opinion, Republic TV, Arnab's, ZTV, India TV, and there are many other newspapers and news channels that are completely biased and spreading fake news. Are they using narrative journalism? No. If any journalist or editor or publisher has the intention to spread fake news, they will do it. You don't need a particular genre of journalism to be able to do that. You have the capacity to do that anyway, whatever form of journalism you are talking about. So the debate has settled, but in favor of narrative journalism so much that today the most prestigious kind of journalism is narrative journalism. Some of you may have heard about this award. We call it Pulitzer Prize. It's like, you know, the Grammys in, music, or Oscars in cinema. Similarly, we have Pulitzer Prize, most prestigious, and which clearly says that it honors narrative journalism, one. Second, if you look at the competition that is among top news organizations in the world, let's say BBC, CNN International, Al Jazeera, and many other channels, they all are claiming that we do narrative journalism. Though that is not true, they are trying to, but not being able to. Right. And the reason is that you have to unlearn a lot. Like in my organization, Newsreel Asia, more than 90% of journalists who work with us are freshers. They have been now working with us for 6 or 7 years, but very deliberately, we chose younger journalists so that they don't have to unlearn a lot about journalism, because we have to deviate from some of the things that are practiced in traditional journalism. Right, so I'll be careful here. So we need to look at what is the purpose of journalism, so that when we talk about deviating from traditional way of doing journalism, we will not deviate from the purpose of journalism, which is extremely important. So there is this institute called American Press Institute, which is like a thought leader when it comes to journalism. And according to them, the definition of journalism, or the purpose of journalism, simply is that we provide citizens with the information they need to make the best possible decisions, right? So what is the purpose of us sharing information with our viewers or readers is so that they can make best decisions. About what? It says about their lives, which is extremely important. And there is a hierarchy here. The most important is that we help our audiences make best decisions about their lives. Now, what are some issues in your lives that you find in newspapers? Unfortunately, not many. Breakups. If you have a breakup, how do you deal with your emotions? Right? It's an important decision about your life. Who should you say yes to when it comes to your boyfriend or a girlfriend? What about your mental health? What about your health, physical health, eating habits,